Yeah, what's going on, Yinzers? It's the Terrible Talk, a spinoff of the original sports podcast. You asked for it, we're giving it to you, okay? You're getting straight junk just from me, from Chops, from Sheen, and from Waddy when it ain't track season. Waddy, by the way, somebody asked me today, hey, what do you coach, Waddy? Waddy is a hell of a sprints coach. He could tell you all the little things that make you know that whoever's running that thing is good. But we're a week over, into free agency, and so far we've been blowing up each other's phones. We ain't feeling free agency from the Pittsburgh Steelers, not at all. They've not really filled their needs with viable options. They've been grabbing all this trash, and we're going to talk about it today. Hopefully the June cuts will help. I don't know, but we're going to begin our position previews too for the draft, starting with quarterbacks, looking at running backs, and both of which are, let's face it, there's some sort of priority for the Steelers with those. Fellas, what's going on this wonderful Thursday afternoon happy hour time?
James Pierre's coming back. That's what's happening.
I saw that shit. Why? What? You need more special teamers? I got into it with some dude on Facebook. I don't know why I put myself out there like that. But I made a comment about one of those D linemen they signed, and I said, just more trash to throw in the dumpster. And he's like, you don't know football. You don't know what you're talking about. I said, bro, if you don't realize that all they're doing is picking up other people's scraps, guys that were playing for Jacksonville, guys that were playing for New England last year, guys that played on the Jets, like who the hell wants guys that don't have the pedigree? Okay, they're not spending that cash they have. I have not looked lately, but they are not spending their cash, are they?
No. Well, I got Jeremiah Moon back today also.
Great. I feel so good about that one too.
Yeah, this is a shit show, man. It's a straight shit show.
Well, like I've told you, fellas, whether it was you said just Pierre, and we've had some other cats, Edmonds, guys that don't have anywhere else to go will come back to Pittsburgh. Even like Mason. I think Mason didn't get a fair shot the first time, but he went to Tennessee, isn't letting it go. They're looking to get rid of your boy Levis now, right? Whatever. They got rid of Willis. Now they're looking to trade Levis. They still didn't want Mason or whatever. They let Mason walk, didn't assure him he'd at least get a chance to be the starter or whatever have you. But when you have nowhere else to go, they like coming back to Pittsburgh. You know what I mean? And he keeps signing retreads, whatever have you. You talk about getting into arguments, Barbara. It wasn't really an argument, but a guy was talking to me, said, what other players can you name that played at Pittsburgh other than Rod Woodson that went elsewhere and balled out? And I was like, well, I can look at that two ways. Number one, Vrabel left Pittsburgh. He couldn't get on the field, if you remember, because of Jason Gilden. But he did go to New England and got his stripes. I said, so you look at it that way, or you can look at it this way. How many players can you think of? Because we can name some, whether it was Dupree, whether it was Terrell Edmonds,
Chad Brown,
who were good in Pittsburgh under Tomlin and started for Tomlin, but then they go to other teams and they're like, no, you're not good enough here. We've seen that as well, where guys have played under Tomlin and start for Tomlin and then go elsewhere and they're like, what the hell? I don't know what you were doing in Pittsburgh, but whatever you had in Pittsburgh and they got you to start and we're getting on the field for Tomlin, that ain't cutting it here, brother. That ain't cutting it here. So let's get into this, big dog. Let's get real quick, fellas. Before we get into our Steelers, because we'll go on for them and get deep and get passionate. We had some other major signings in this AFC North. Okay. Right?
Yeah.
We talked about Garret, but it doesn't make the Browns any better. It really doesn't.
No.
Money talks. That's why Garret can walk.
Absolutely.
He don't care if he wins a Super Bowl. That brother does not care. He shows true colors right there.
I wouldn't care either.
Well, here's my thing. And I don't have an issue with him, like saying showing his true colors. What bothered me was on Friday, you said there's no amount of money you can pay me. I'm going to go somewhere that is a contender. Then the Browns said, well, hold on for a second. Let's break open this playbook or this checkbook. And now he sings a different tune. So, okay, just if you wanted to trade, I can get you wanted to trade. But don't say there's no amount of money you can pay me because I want to be with a contender. And then not but 72 hours later, you're signed on that line for the same team only because they offered you more money. But my thing is what the Bengals did. And here's what of course you're good, Sheen.
I'm glad you brought that up. So is Burrow a top quarterback?
Yes.
I'll give him that. He's talented. He's talented. I'll give him that.
Top, when we say top, you're saying where? Go ahead, Mark. Give me 1, 2, and where's he? 4, 3?
All right, let's hammer it out then.
Yes, please.
You gotta go like these aren't in any necessary. These aren't necessarily in order. You got to go Pat Mahomes.
Allen.
You got to go Lamar Jackson. He's earned that right.
Yeah.
2-time MVP, and he can lead a team.
Allen.
Maybe not in the playoffs, but you got to go
Allen.
Josh Allen. Yeah. And then I'm thinking Burrow.
Wow.
Yeah, and I'll tell you why I'm thinking Burrow. Burrow was the reason that team won last year at all. Like, he's the reason they won it all. Because that defense, if you think that defense was trash last year, wait till you see what the hell they are this year. They let guys walk, seek trades. They are going to be that defense, unless Jesus Christ grants him $100 million. They are going to be, forgive me, Lord. They are going to be bad. That defense is going to be bad.
It is, but I don't see him as at 4. When you name all those guys, think about who they did it with. Mahomes got Schuster, Allen has Shakir, and dude from Baltimore got Andrews, I guess. I mean,
well, hold on, and I get that, but also
they ain't winning nothing with these guys already. But go ahead.
Well, like I said, the only to me, I'm gonna keep it 100, fellas. The only quarterback that is worth his contract has been Mahomes because he's won Super Bowls, and this is about Super Bowls in the NFL. He's won Super Bowls with whom, as much as I love Lamar, and I understand it's as much defense as an offense, quarterback takes the brunt when they don't win. They're not winning. Allen, you got your first MVP, but Allen had a decent tight end. He's got a nice running back and Cook, whatever have you. But
you're saying decent. Burrow got 1 and 1A.
Hold on, and I get that now.
See, I don't look at Higgins like that though. I look at his high end number 2, but I don't think if you stuck him on a team and said, "Yeah, he's our number 1," that's me, fellas.
You must not have seen. Was it last year when Chase was hurt, when he was catching things and reaching over backwards to the end?
No, I did. No, I see that, Sheen. But can he do that for 17 weeks and into the playoffs? Like, I don't get that from him. That's just me, though.
Okay. Well, so now we got to talk. Well, before go ahead, Chop. See what you can do, because now we got to talk about who's all number 1s. And now
first off, I do think Higgins, especially the way the rules are written now for offense, I do think he could be a number 1 for a lot of different teams.
A 1A, yeah.
Yeah. Now, and here's also the thing: as much as Burrow did last year, and yes, he played well, and he even had an MVP season if you look at his numbers, but the defense couldn't stop a bloody nose. And so Burrows tells his upper management and tells the owners, you must sign these weapons for me. Okay. Now you have 57 or 100, whatever it is, crazy amount of money in just those 3 players. But I'm asking you fellas flat out, did they get better from what they were a week ago to that's what I'm saying. So and that's where I'm getting at, fellas. They're like, you need a marquee quarterback.
Yeah,
I don't consider Jalen Hurts a marquee quarterback.
That's why he wasn't in my top 3 guys I named.
But I do think defense plays a lot. And if you don't think so, watch that last Super Bowl when your boy Mahomes couldn't get anything on.
So how much is Tomlin sweating it to have a team like Jalen Hurts runs? That's what Tomlin wants. That's what he's sweating.
Here's what I don't get, though. The NFL is a copycat league. Everybody's saying you need a quarterback. The Eagles showed this year, and as well we've seen with other teams where the Chiefs did it last year, when their defense helped win that Super Bowl last year, when it wasn't Mahomes as much as it was the defense, the Eagles front rush this year as their line. I just don't get why. And you listen to Burrow, you still need some defense to win in the NFL. I don't understand why they gave all the money. Because not trying to be funny, fellas, when you have Puka Nacua, when you have Cooper Kupp, and these guys are now running a lot of different slanting routes and they do whatever have you, it's not hard for, I don't want to say anybody, but you have it's a lot easier for you to find a 2 than it is to find a legit number 1. And I think with all that money they're paying Higgins, they could have found 2 or 3 players to get that same production, which would have been more beneficial, and also score and also paid some guys on defense. So I love what Cincinnati did because I'm a Steelers fan. Because your defense, you're going to win, you're going to lose games 99-97 now because they can't stop anybody.
Well, not only that, has Burrow played a full season yet?
He has.
When they went to the Super Bowl, didn't he?
Yeah, he played a full season.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was his rookie year.
I'm just
I
saying.
thought it was a second. I thought he tore off his thumb as a rookie. I thought it was a second, but it was early on. He did get that win against Mahomes.
All I'm saying is one of them goes down, and then now what?
Yeah, because they're not deep at all.
Our problem.
They're not deep at all. So now
Hushmanzada's out there.
Yeah, I just don't understand.
Okay, this is terrible talk though, and we're getting into the Cincinnati Bengals and the impact it's going to have on the Pittsburgh Steelers. All right.
Yes,
and I'm not trying to be a douchebag here by no far stretch of the imagination, but from the standpoint of the Steelers, they wish they had a number 2 instead of George Pickens.
We're going to get into
that. That's what they're wishing. Okay, that's what they're wishing. Don't let them kid you. But I'm telling you right now, I don't care. Junior Wells, you're listening. Shut the hell up. I'm telling you right now, they are not going to move Pickens unless there is a player in place. Because last year we had to watch Pickens and what? Van Jefferson, Scotty Miller.
Van got a contract. Van and Scotty both got contracts.
Yeah, they signed those 2 guys back. The little dude, CA3, Kelvin Austin, who had a nice season. I wouldn't necessarily say that's a breakout, but I'd say that's a pretty good number 3 season. Okay, that's good. But the drop off between 1 and 3 on the Steelers is immense, and they never did anything about it. They need a number 2. The other day I texted you guys and I said, about Keenan Allen. Okay, Keenan's 33, but did you see his numbers? Listen, did you see his numbers at Chicago last year playing with fingernail paint?
Yeah.
Fingernail polish guy?
Yeah. But they throw the ball. I don't, to me.
That's because they're always behind, Chops.
I don't want to be a number 2. It doesn't matter to me who the number 2 is without the quarterback in Pittsburgh. That to me is still going to be the issue. Now, ideally, let's keep it a buck. Even Sheen, if you don't consider Burrow a top QB, with that O-line, and you swap out Chase and Higgins, and you give him DK and Pickens, they'll still put up numbers. I still think Pickens is an immense talent, but I don't think you have the quarterback in the offense to run that.
You know who's a sneaky good guy? And I don't want to talk about Cincinnati anymore, Chops. I'm telling you right now. But I'll tell you who's a sneaky good guy is that tight end they have.
Oh, yeah, without question. Yeah. Without question.
His name escapes my mind.
Here's the thing, fellas.
It might be Mike Gesicki.
Talent for talent, when you talk about 1s and 2s, I will put skill set wise, talent wise, I'll put DK and Pickens with anybody. If you're going skill set wise, tight end Muth. Muth is, if you're saying, I don't know who you're saying your upper echelon is, if you're going to say Kelsey, whomever your top dog is, Muth is right there talent wise. Maybe not with Kelsey athletically, but Muth is there. Muth is nice. But if the offense, the OC is not calling the proper plays, like I told you, everything that Hurst did in Philly, Fields could have done, and they let him walk out the door. They had an entire year, and realizing after the playoff game, this is how we utilize this guy. You had multiple months to know what he could do for you and how you could draw a playbook that'll be like, yo, dude, this is for you.
I guess we're going to get into this.
Oh, okay. Because I was going to say, he had no intention of coming back to Pittsburgh. None. He felt betrayed by Tomlin. He was aligned with Arthur Smith. Arthur Smith wanted him back to run his offense, and Tomlin betrayed him. He betrayed him when he stuck in Russ. When Russ went in the shitter after the first 6 games. I mean, he felt betrayed, and they even said it. He said it flat out. Listen to the quotes coming out from guys who left the Steelers. Just listen. That's not bitter. That's not guys who want to play for a guy. And I know, Waddy, I'm sorry, buddy. I love you to death, but listen, these guys don't want to play for him anymore. And Fields showed you it right there. He didn't say, I'll take $3 million less and I'll stay in Pittsburgh because I love playing for Coach T.
Well, here's and I got this on. Here's my thing on that, because on the one hand, I want to believe that guys are having the opportunity to play for Tomlin and they're dipping. But then you have to be honest. Is it sour grapes? Because to me, Najee could have possible sour grapes. On the hand is, you denied my 5th-year option when I have been your only workhorse. I'm the only one who's been on your team that's not missing games, and you still don't sign me. I could see him being pissed. And
but that doesn't mean that, you can't find the hole, you can't hit the hole. Like, I can't keep you because you're durable. I need you. Your longest run is like 14 yards.
Yeah, I get that, but hold on for a second, big dog fellas. One of the best teams in the league this year was the Lions, and the Lions came up short because they had so many injuries. A healthy guy, and especially a starter. Listen, here's going to be the thing: if Najee goes to in the Chargers and does work, and he's not going to be any faster, but if they have better blocking schemes for him and they know how to use him better with a playbook, that speaks volumes. And for Fields might have been betrayed when they didn't put him in a 5-game losing streak, including the playoffs. We didn't see him at all. But I think what seems to be a bigger issue is they did not go to him at the end of the season and be hat in hand or humble enough. We screwed up. We should have used you. However, you are our top priority. And here's my thing. Now, I don't know the exact numbers, and there's always going to be things, whatever have you. But if, because even right now, the Jets are talking about looking at Jackson Dart. Now, his money is secure because he signed guaranteed as in Fields. But if they're talking about Jackson Dart
already,
Fields will be the starter, but for how long? If Jackson, you know what I'm saying? So he could get done the same way in New York that he was done in Pittsburgh. But I don't believe the Steelers went to him at the end of the year and be like, you're our guy. We want. There's no way they could have. No way. I don't think they did. I think that's what pissed him off.
Well, that's what he wanted. I know that's what he wanted. They said he wanted that. He wanted them to say you're the starter, but I don't get that. Like, what? There still should be a competition. Like, when did we start getting afraid of competition?
No, you're absolutely right, Shane. But who?
I don't want people on my team.
As soon as the sheep start following the wrong people.
Yeah, I don't want people on my team that are scared of competition. I don't want you.
Okay, and I get that. But as of right now, why would you have not told him you're our starter going in the next year? Or at least I know, because you hadn't signed Russ. He was your priority over Russ. You know what I'm saying? And fellas, and honestly, here'd be the thing. If something crazy would have happened where they could have got a Daniels, you know what I'm saying, your boy for the Commanders, or they could have got somebody like that, whatever, or Herbert comes over, or Burrow, then yeah, there's going to be competition. We can't tell you but the way the position the Steelers were in, who they had on offense, their line was young. I think they should have told that man, you're our starter because of what you can do. Now, we can't guarantee you'll be the starter past next year because where we fall in the draft, whatever may happen. But I think it should have been Fields' job, man, because what he was perfect for them, just like Hurst was perfect for Philly.
Why'd they trade for him if they didn't look? They knew he was going to be a project. Why did they trade for him and sign Russ at the same time? Okay, neither. Quite honestly, fellas, that wasn't all Russ's fault that he fell apart.
No.
I'm going to be straight shooter here. Again, I said this before, and I'll say it again, and I'd say it to his face. I think Tomlin is a lousy head coach now. All these props he gets for being this guy who's never had a winning season, that's just bullshit to me. Losing season, that's bullshit to me, fellas. You don't do your job to be 500 in your job. You do your job to get better at your job every year and produce. If you didn't produce at your job, if your numbers at your jobs, fellas, if they weren't a little bit better every year, what do you think your boss would say to you? Okay, this has become a tragedy in Pittsburgh. This is an absolute abomination. And he, the owner has no balls. He doesn't want to sit Tomlin down and say, listen, we're going to move you on, or we're going to bump you up to a different position, but we need to go with a young guy. 18 years is unheard of. 18 years of this guy being their head coach and having no results except for having a winning season.
And good is no longer good when better is expected. And when you're just doing 500, that's not good enough. But here's my thing, fellas. Okay, let's look at the way this quarterback position is playing out. And Rooney just said the Steelers came out and said they're fine. I don't know when they say the Steelers, they are fine. Is that Khan? Is that Tomlin? Is that Rooney? Is that the collective three? I don't know. Let's start real quick with the quarterback position of where we are as a Steeler fan right now. I'm sorry?
Skylar Thompson.
Okay, but are you who is fine? Who is fine waiting for Aaron Rodgers to continue to be a diva? Is that Khan? Is that Tomlin? Is that Rooney? Or is that the collective three?
My guess is that Tomlin is asking Rooney to be patient because this is an older quarterback that he's probably has Rooney convinced that if this kid comes on board, we'll win a playoff game. He's a grown-ass man. If this grown-ass I'm going to go one step further, fellas. If this grown-ass bitch comes on board, we're going to win a couple playoff games. I think he is there with this. We all know Tomlin has an affliction with
Rodgers.
With Rodgers. Man, I'm stuttering today. But my guess is he's sitting down with Rooney. I'll say this again too about Tomlin. He has way too much power as a head coach. It's demonstrated in some of the activity you see going on.
Well, as you said, Rooney is not a football guy. He's a lawyer, so that could have part of it.
I think he should have the power, though. Who else should have the power? Khan's a money guy. I don't know why
Okay, so check it out, Sheen. Okay, I hear you. But what happened with Howie out in Philadelphia? What, Rosenstein? What the hell is his last name?
I know who you're talking about.
GM. The GM out in Philly. When he started making shit moves and that team couldn't go forward, what'd they do? They stripped him of power. Guess what? Tomlin should be stripped of some power. You want to still be head coach? Great. You're the head coach.
Yeah.
Do not put your hands in the offense or the hands in the defense. You let the people you hire to run those two things. You tell them what you're thinking about, what you'd like to see.
Right.
When you hire them, but you let them run it. Get your hands out of the mixing bowl. Stop running freaking Tampa 2. I don't want to see it anymore. We don't have the players that can run Tampa 2. Don't run it.
And if Cohen is the money guy, here's the thing. If you're the money guy, you know numbers. That just doesn't mean you can evaluate talent. So if you're going to stay the money guy, stay the money guy. That doesn't mean you're your director of player personnel and you know who to draft and whatever have you. The draft guy drafts, the coach coaches, whatever have you. The money guy is the money guy. So, but let me ask you this. We heard and saw where Cam said, if that's my pitch. Either you want to be a Steeler or you don't. Either you want to be a Steeler or you don't. Okay? So Rodgers is playing his waiting game. He's being Rodgers, doing how he tore apart and just was an idiot when he left Green Bay. Comes and never really does what he's supposed to or acquiesce to be a team player in New York. If he decides that he wants to join the Steelers 2 weeks, whenever it is, I don't know, Tomlin takes him. He's not going to be able to come into that locker room, not with Watt, not with Hayward, and making those established veterans. I'm hoping he cannot come into that locker room with that diva-ass mindset. He misses OTAs or the beginning of camp and then blames it on the coach like he did Salah. You know what I'm saying? He causes waves to get Salah fired last year. That's the dude he is. One of your leaders has already said, either you want to be a Steeler or you don't. So he's even starting to get fed up with it in Hayward. Why, if the Vikings said, you know what? Screw you, dude. We will roll with this unproven rookie who didn't play last year over the charades you're giving us. Why is Tomlin and the Steelers still in this? Why are they still in the Rodgers charade game?
I think because Rodgers can make – I think we talked about this. He can make all the throws and he can make all the reads.
You're absolutely right. But at some point, and this is what's the problem with sports, and you guys have children and I don't. How do you get your children to become great teammates, to become good people when they can watch athletes do this? I'll join when I'm ready. I'll join when I am ready. And what's he say? Smitty, what's he disagree with? That mindset is 10 years ago. I don't know what mindset he's talking about. But
he'll respond.
Yeah, but when your boy, you're right.
It's gonna be my boy, because I'll tell you what. Ain't nobody on the Steelers right now is my boy.
Rodgers can make all the throws, but your attitude is worse. At some point, your character has to overshadow your talent. And his talent, he had everything he wanted last year. Oh, man. When you said he is a locker room buster, he is. He is all about me.
Whoa. Who came out and said that?
That's
Michael Scott.
No. I'm talking about in the locker room. Who came out and said, hey, Chops is an ass?
So hold on. Let's put this
from that
way.
Perspective, let me jump in, Chops.
Go ahead.
Let me jump in. All right. By the way, fellas, you see my shirt today?
The Maulers. Yeah! Mikey Rozier.
I'm throwing my support behind them this year. But listen, I agree with what Mike Gott said. Thanks, closer. I agree with Schmitty said. You don't have to be a locker room killer by doing shit in the locker room. Right now, he's a locker room killer if they sign him, because he didn't sign on the dotted line when he should have and could have.
You heard Hayward.
Yeah.
Do you want to be a Steeler or not? That's starting to wear him down.
If I was a Cleveland Browns fan, if I was a Miami Dolphins fan, if I was a Los Angeles Rams fan, and this is the guy recording, and he's still playing this game, I'm giving him a fungool to him. Okay.
Yes.
I don't want to deal with that. You either want to be here or you don't. And if you don't want to be here, say it. This is Tomlin. This is Tomlin who's asking everybody, hey, guys, let's just give him a little time. You know what I'm saying? The standard is the standard with him. No, Tomlin, it's not.
And the crazy part is,
hold on. Your Tomlin impersonation was terrible.
I know.
That was like some Fat Albert stuff. I don't know what that was.
I've been loving Fat Albert.
I just don't get your boy. And when you look at his on the field play, last year in Green Bay, what he did this year, his numbers, when you take his name off those and just put those numbers up, I sent you guys the picture. His numbers were not even as good as Russ's last year. But you take the name Aaron Rodgers off of it, look at numbers. Here's the thing also, Sheen.
But to get the ball out rate was way better. Rodgers was like number 3. Wilson was like 28.
Okay, you're absolutely right. Now, again, we also know that Rodgers had a significantly better line than Russ had. Now, I will admit, Russ holds the ball long, but now you do. And again, you've got another young offensive line. That's why I really wish they'd have made a true push for Fields, because his athletic ability and his legs could have helped you do things. So when we're looking at the quarterback position, why they're still playing that game, and I loved O'Connell saying, screw you, we're out, do you. We don't need you. We don't need you, even though you're a potential first ballot Hall of Famer. We don't need that in this locker room.
Why are they not just throwing J.J. McCarthy to the Wolves?
He has pieces already, so he can say that.
Well, hold on. What do you mean, Sheen? What do you mean?
He has McCarthy. He can say, I don't need you.
McCarthy is whoa. Right now, McCarthy's not better. He wasn't better proven than than Fields. He wasn't more proven. So he has no idea. As in O'Connell has no idea what he has at quarterback. And he's still willing to gamble on an injured guy in McCarthy who's coming off a knee, then play these shenanigan games. And I don't understand why your boy Tomlin is still doing that. Tomlin, the fact that Aaron Rodgers believes he's earned the right to make teams wait, Tomlin in the NFL, whether we agree with it or not, he has earned the right to tell a quarterback, either you want to roll with us or you don't. Peace out. Tomlin could have done what O'Connell's done and been good, and I'd have been cool with it. That bothers me, because you bring that diva attitude into this locker room, even that, okay, let's say he's not a locker room buster. We see the way you're acting. We saw that you had a role in getting Salah fired. Now, he can't get Tomlin fired, but your actions. His players saw that. There was nobody on the New York Jets.
Has Rodgers not earned the right to act the way he's acting?
Absolutely not. No professional athlete in the NFL, not even Tom Brady, has the right to do this. They're all paid to play football for a team. Part of it is not only playing for that team, but having some chemistry with that team. He can't just show up on Sunday. This ain't a movie. We ain't watching a movie here, fellas. He can't just show up when he feels like showing up and playing football. Like, it doesn't work like that. 41 years old, you don't want to be at practice? Go fucking to the beach like you are. Nobody cares.
Well, here's the thing. I get where Sheen's coming from when you say earned a right. I also get where Mark's coming from. Because you're a team player, you shouldn't act like that because you put you bleed just like everybody else, whatever. However, here's the problem.
Didn't Russ have his own locker room in Denver?
That's what they said. No, he had his own office.
And again, that's what I'm saying. There's the problem. Because guys have talent, people are treating though as they are better than. And it's funny that you mentioned Brady, Mark. Do you realize Brady never was the highest paid because he realized it? And I'm not even a Brady fan. But I'm smart enough, and I'll give props where props is due. Brady was like, it's not all about me. I don't need to break the bank in my position to be paid because if I don't have help, I'm not shit. Brady was the guy.
Earnings.
What's that, man?
Go look at his lifetime earnings. He didn't make shit compared to a lot of guys.
Brady was the guy who, before they were allowed, when he was in Tampa before they were allowed to actually meet as a team, he told the guys, let's meet at the local junior high or the local high school to pass the ball. But now, fellas, that's not what Rodgers is about. So that to me bothers me. But also on the same token, we need to get away from this, like, to think they're all friends because they're not. Because if they were, you wouldn't have to put in workout clauses. You realize what a workout clause is a team is saying we'll pay you an extra X amount of $100,000 to come in and work out with your team. We're already paying you millions of dollars to play on Sunday, but we'll pay you an extra couple $100,000 if you come in and work out with these guys. That to me is crazy. But going back to Rodgers, because we're getting on top, going back to Rodgers, he might have been able to earn what he's done. And also to me, you have one Super Bowl title. Do you realize who's your cat? Came from Fresno State, Trent Dilfer. Trent Dilfer has one ring. And they are nowhere on the lines of Aaron Rodgers, but they still have one ring just like he does. Aaron Rodgers, to me, has never lived up to his ability. And when I say up to his ability, you're judged by rings. You're always going to be judged by rings at quarterback, and he doesn't have it. You know what I mean? So, but to me, yes, you could make all the throws and you could do this, whatever have you. But when you start getting like this, fellas, these shenanigans, me, I, that's going to do more harm than good once the season starts. Because when you got other seasoned veterans, you come in, you look at Watt, Defensive Player of the Year, who's up every year for that category. You got Hayward, who won the Walter Payton Award and damn near as old as him. They're not looking at you as in awe. They're not looking at Aaron Rodgers in the locker room. They're like, yo, where the hell you been? We've been here grinding. Where you been? So I don't think it'll be good if you bring him in, but it just bothers me even more than that Tomlin is willing to play his game.
This is what shows me that Tomlin's done.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let me ask you this, Sheen.
Here's my thought. Listen to my thought. My thought is because Tomlin has never developed a quarterback ever. He's never developed any quarterback. Ben came ready when he got the job. Ben came ready. He's never developed anybody else. My thought is this guy has tried to develop guys. He's failed. So now he wants to bring in those two guys last year, one who has talent but hasn't shown it to the maximum in Fields, one who's won 2 Super Bowls and has shown it and maybe still has a little lightning in the bottle yet. Now he wants to try and do that with, he's thinking in his mind, I can't coach these guys up better than what they've been coached up. They can help this offense based on what they know. I mean, I'm just being a straight shooter here because you look at who he's brought in and how they failed as a young buck. And then you look at who he's brought in that's been there and done that. And now, that's where he's at. He's telling me, guys, I know I can't do this, so let me bring in somebody that might get me there. And if I don't get there with this guy, I'm walking away.
Yeah.
I'm finishing this contract.
And you know what, fellas? And I see Smitty's comment, right? It's because it's the QB position that gives him the right. I don't know how this started, but right now, everybody would just automatically agree. I'm probably the only one that doesn't, that believes the QB position is the most important position on the field. Because to me, the best position, to me, Mahomes has lost 2 Super Bowls where he was the best player on the field on each team. Maybe Saquon for his position, but Mahomes was the best player on the field this year, and he lost because he didn't have a supporting cast. Last year, Burrow, he's already went through this, done everything. His defense let him down. Brady, he lost a Super Bowl where he threw for the most yards ever for a QB in a Super Bowl, and he lost. Mahomes, when he lost against Brady, was the best player on that field, but his offense let him down. That, to me, I don't get where that comes from, because we see all these high-paid QBs, but they're not winning championships. So I don't get where that comes from. I hear people say it, but I don't think anybody challenges that statement before they say it.
Hey, Mike, you know what? You ever hear this sound? Cha-ching.
Yeah, I get that.
That's where it is. That's what it is. It's about money. The bottom line, it's all about money. We got to pay this guy now, because if he does take off, if Trevor Lawrence does get it done, imagine how much more he's going to want. So let's pay him this now, and in a couple of years from now, when his contract's up, we ain't going to have to worry as much, are we?
And you do realize, as of right now, with his team and with that, whatever have you, because and I sent you guys a list of the top 10 highest paid QBs.
Yeah.
Hurts is the only one that's won a Super Bowl. Burrow's lost one. Hurts is the only one that has won a Super Bowl. So again, NFL is a copycat league, and everybody wants to outdo everybody, paying my quarterback high, paying my quarterback the most. But you're not getting you're not getting Super Bowls. But I do realize, I guess Super Bowls is not what makes your franchise valuable, because they say the Cowboys is one of the most valuable franchises, and they haven't even sniffed a play or Super Bowl win in decades. So maybe Super Bowls don't really matter. I don't know. It does for us, the fan, but maybe for the owner, Super Bowls don't matter. So maybe that is why they do it.
They matter. They matter, Mike. They matter. Don't
do they?
Kid yourself. Yeah, don't kid yourself. The owners that are in this
position, yes.
I think you got to understand. You got 2 types of owners. Just kind of like baseball. Since we talk Pirate baseball, you got 2 types of owners. You got one owner that maybe doesn't know a damn thing about the game, but wants to make the money off of a business. Then you've got owners that want to be successful champions and make money. And those are the guys who invest in what they're doing. Bottom line. And you've got players on that team that are unselfish, and they're willing to take a lower salary, have their salary expanded in different ways, rework that money so that they can bring in players to help them win championships. Let's face it. We always talk about Dan Marino, and we say, hey, who, how good would Marino have been if he was on a team that wanted to win the Super Bowl? He'd been to 1 Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Okay. Obviously, the owners, Huizenga, right? Was it Huizenga? I think it was Wayne Huizenga.
Wayne, I think so. Let me ask you guys this.
He didn't really care about Super Bowls. He cared about cash. And as long as Dan Marino had a spotlight shine on him, because he could fling the ball like no other,
so
it's a cash cow for him.
And that's going to be my question. You guys look at it deeper than I do. Why? Just real quick, fellas, we'll see the option ran in college, but we never see the option ran in the league. And there's a reason. They say guys are too fast. So the NFL copies, nobody's going to run that. Most teams don't run a whole lot of pitch plays anyway, because the guys are so fast, side to side, whatever have you. How long, as of right now, we're in the trend where every quarterback coming up, just because you're the next one in line, is getting more and more, even though they haven't earned it. At what point do you guys think NFL owners will realize paying all this money is not winning me Super Bowls to one position, the quarterback?
It depends on how they look at their business, though, Mike. That's exactly what I'm saying.
Okay, Jordan Love and Trevor Lawrence, I know, are in the top 3 or 4. They're high up there. They're not even winning playoff games. They're not going deep into the playoffs.
Because they think, because the salary cap is rising the way it is and how much quarterbacks keep getting paid, they'd rather pay them what they're going to pay them now that looks astronomical, instead of 3 years down the road where they could maybe take off, win a Super Bowl. Who knows? And imagine what they'd have to pay them then. The smartest thing I heard NFL owners say is that they want to put together a salary cap specifically for quarterbacks. specifically, and then everybody else is on a different plateau.
And they're doing that. You're absolutely right, Mark. They're saying I'll pay him now because what could he be? But you paid Trevor Lawrence what 2 seasons ago or a season ago? I just don't understand how that. But again, potential, the most dangerous word in the English language, because and definitely in sports, guys are paid off potential compared to what they've already done. And I see what Mikey G says. God says, Steelers don't seem to be hitting the marks at present. Do you think are higher issues? Man, and this is what we're talking about. And he hit it dead on the head. What was that lineman a couple weeks ago who said he wasn't even learning the position from the coaches? He was talking to other linemen. Now you have Najee saying the facilities and other things.
It was Derwin
Gray.
Derwin Gray.
Okay. And now Najee. Now Fields said it flat out. It came down to the coaches. So he's willing to take a first-year head coach who is the same age as Tomlin. Glenn is a year younger than Tomlin. He is willing to take a first-year head coach. He picked a first-year head coach over Tomlin, who has a Super Bowl win, regardless of what we deem no losing season, and cachet. He chose Glenn over Tomlin. I've been saying it for a while.
Or did he choose the New York market?
Dude, not trying to be funny. If it's about business.
That's when you like when you talked about the fullback from Frisco. Like if you've been in Frisco, I don't know if you've ever been, but if you've been in Frisco, like he's been there for probably 5, 6, 7 years, you don't want to go to Pittsburgh over Frisco. That's just never going to happen. Frisco,
exactly, but you're absolutely right. But Frisco also signed him back.
Yes.
New York media, we all know, regardless of what sport it is brutal.
It is.
So far, Fields has not lived up to his high draft mark. He hasn't. So why would he choose the New York media if he was thinking media at all? Why would he choose the New York market over the Pittsburgh market if the money was similar? He chose New York. He liked the coach better than Tomlin.
It could have been that, but it could also be if I'm going to get tore down, I'd rather get tore down in New York and then instead of this little silly market with what's his name in the Post Gazette.
Wow. Yeah, but I know this. Yeah.
Jerry Dulac. Like nobody cares about Jerry Dulac, but
he's the oldest beat writer that the Pittsburgh Steelers have. He has the most inside information out of everybody, Sheen.
I get that. But hold on.
Listen,
Sheen, let me ask you.
I need you to pull up a Jerry Dulac article that came to life. Jerry Dulac don't know anything that's going on over there.
Hold on. Let me ask you this, Sheen. If you have a bad day, right, or you fall, if you trip and fall and bust your nose, would you rather trip and fall and bust your nose just in your house where only 1 or 2 people saw it? Or would you rather trip and fall and bust your nose and get clowned in front of the whole block? You'd rather do it in the house where very few people see it. So if he's still not going to live up to his hype, wouldn't he? Because the money's the money. New York Jets dollars don't spend any different than Steeler dollars. So why wouldn't he rather not live up to the hype in Pittsburgh and be under a coach who's proven or has cachet? That to me speaks volumes. He chose Glenn over Tomlin. That speaks volumes to me.
Hey,
he even said it.
What does Sinatra say about New York? What does Sinatra say? Come on, man. I'd rather be in New York. That's me, Chops. Like I didn't get to answer your question. I don't care about what people think, so I could fall out in the street.
Let me ask you why you'd rather be in New York. Because it's the Big Apple? Because you got more eyes on you?
Yes.
What happens when you fail?
That's what I'm saying, Mark.
You fail mightily.
No. You know what happens when I fail? Tuesday comes and my check hits the bank. That's what happens.
So dude, you're not playing. You're not playing for Super Bowl championships. All you're doing is playing for your money.
Dude, I don't care.
Yes.
Even the best of men are only men at best. You cannot go through all your years in Chicago.
Wait a second. Are you fucking hanging out with Tomlin? That's something Tomlin would be spitting in a conference.
I think that was Schwartz coffee. I
wouldn't care about Super Bowls. I want to be able to take care of my kids' kids.
See, you know but here's the thing, dude. If Pittsburgh was offering you the same amount, and you chose the guy,
they weren't. Well,
true, but it wasn't a whole lot different. It wasn't a whole lot.
10 million is a lot different. You want 0 or 10 million?
I get that, dude.
The taxes in New York You got to realize this.
Yes.
Taxes in New York are a lot higher than the Pennsylvania
Yes.
taxes.
So that $10 million is not going to be
probably would making the same amount of money he'd have made with Pittsburgh.
Here's my thing.
We only like Pittsburgh because we grew up in Pittsburgh. We know the charm of Pittsburgh. People who ain't from Pittsburgh don't be like, "Hey man, I'm moving next year to Pittsburgh." Like, if you didn't notice, like people are leaving Pittsburgh. No one's moving in.
Hold on. I understand that, but if your team is a winner, you can get guys anywhere. You can get guys anywhere. Nobody was coming to Kansas City until they started winning with the Chiefs. I mean, guys wanted to play for Kansas City.
Who's coming to Kansas City? There's no one there but Mahomes, Kelsey. They don't got no one else.
Then whatever. Well, you're right on that aspect of like big names going, but you don't see anybody leaving Kansas City, and guys are pushed out every year.
They traded
Nobody's leaving
Ladarius
Kansas
Sneed,
City and talking shit on the facilities or Reed.
They traded Ladarius Sneed. Hey, fellas,
I can tell you the facilities are weak. I could tell you that, but I mean, again,
we're gonna take a look at free agency real quick here. Who the Steelers have signed, and then Smitty brings up a great point here. And let me flash this first, though. Smitty says, "Do you guys think Baltimore is the only team to embrace Lamar's talent and use his legs and develop his arm? Fields was always asked to make throws he couldn't make."
Well,
what are throws you can't make? What do you mean? Like he's inaccurate?
Yeah, he's inaccurate.
Okay.
If Smitty's dead on, because fellas, I said it before season started. I wanted Russ as the starter so Fields could get a year of actual tutelage that he never got in Chicago. Learn to read a defense, learn to go through his reads. He didn't get that this year as much because they didn't run a good offense. Now, at least, hopefully, he'll get that in New York.
You can't teach accuracy, guys.
No. Hold on.
Like I tell you, there's one thing that we can do. That's throw the ball, but it might not be accurate.
That's why 7-on-7 is worthless.
Hold on. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. You can't teach accuracy, but you can learn how to read a defense better. That's why Brady, whatever you say, was so great at getting the ball out and so quick because he had his reads and he was on it.
That's why Aaron Rodgers is going to be the guy.
Hold on. Brady had a better offense as well. Maybe your boy is slow. He can't run, and the O line is still not proven. You've got a young line. You got two guys who with 2 years or less, and you got Fanatu, however you pronounce his name. He's young. You've got Jones, who is now going to be playing the position he should be playing that he hasn't played in 3 seasons.
And that's why they're going to dinner with Milroe. Let's get on that.
Okay, let's do it. That's terrible.
No.
Terrible.
Before we get to Milroe, here's what we've lost because this is supposed to be about free agency. Here's what actually, let me go here. Darius Slay, 1 year, $10 million, fully guaranteed, 34 years old.
Good deal.
Malik Harrison,
Bad
linebacker
deal.
from the Ravens,
Bad
2
deal.
years, $10 million. Guess what? He's a special teams guy. Mason Rudolph, 2 years, $8 million. Juan Thornhill, 1 year. The numbers aren't known yet. Brandon Eccles from the Jets. The Jets, fellas. They signed him to 2 years.
I like those last two.
You want to read this list?
I'm saying I like those last two, but go ahead.
Oh, okay. No, seriously. Kenneth Gainwell, 1 year, 1.79. Gainwell got 1.79, fellas. And Donald Parham got 1.17. I mean, like, that's just garbage. I
thought Gainwell was decent, but if he signed for 1.7, there must have been no market for him.
None.
They're still talking about bringing in Dobbins. Just so you know, they're still talking about bringing Dobbins in.
I want you to understand this. Jalen Warren is on a second-round restricted tender. He hasn't even signed yet. They signed Ryan McCollum to a 1 year exclusive offer, 1.1. Ben Skronik, he gets an exclusive offer as well, 2 years. Scotty Miller, 1 year.
Special teams.
Yeah. Well, guess what, Sheen? Darius Slay's not going to be a starting corner. Even if he is available to start, he's going to be 34 years old. You know one of them other guys is going to start. Malik Harrison, special teams guy. Mason Rudolph, technically backup quarterback. Juan Thornhill, who knows? Maybe this is the guy they want to segue to and get rid of Minka, but it's not Minka's fault. Brandon Eccles, he was trash with the Jets. He'll be trash with the Steelers.
Whoa. Eccles was trash?
Go look at his numbers. They are not pretty.
All right.
Gainwell, third down back. Who needs another third down back when you got Warren. You need a bell cow. Okay, you got two guys exactly the same in Gainwell and Warren, and then Donald Parham. Did he even play last year?
Well, listen. Do they think that Warren's going to walk?
I don't know.
Is that what they're thinking? That way you got Gainwell, and they're still talking about bringing Dobbins in.
Here's who they lost. Check it out. Larry Ogunjobi, which we knew they were going to cut him. Justin Fields, Dan Moore Jr., James Daniels, Najee Harris, Dante Jackson, Mike Williams, Elandon Roberts, Van Jefferson, Nate Herbig, Kyle Allen. That's they lost all those guys already. They lost all those guys. You know, those guys signed pretty freaking quick. The only guy who had an astronomical contract was Dan Moore Jr., which is ironic. He got $50 million guaranteed for 4 years.
Left tackle. We know how that goes.
Yeah, you could say that all you want, but he sucked, and everybody knew it. So
it's left tackle. You know that. They're the highest.
Well, maybe who signed more?
Tennessee.
Sorry.
Tennessee signs all the guys the Steelers let go that they think are number one guys. You know? They did that with Bud Dupree.
The fact that all these guys signed so early.
Who was that? Yancey Thigpen. They signed him.
Yeah. The fact that these guys signed so early and aren't really starting with Fields. The fact that Fields had his offer, never even acknowledged receiving it, never even spoke to the Steelers. Then he gets it. Free agency starts at noon, and by 2:30, 3 o'clock, it's announced he signed elsewhere. The fact these guys are signing elsewhere, not giving the Steelers an option or even talking to the Steelers, are signing so fast elsewhere, is that saying they can't get away from Tomlin and the organization fast enough? I don't know, man. Dan Moore. Dan Moore needs him.
They backed the Briggs truck up to somebody else's house and Dan Moore stole all the damn money.
Yeah.
That's a sin. I don't care if he's a left tackle or not. I don't care. What's that dude they did that movie on?
Michael Orr.
Yeah, Blindside.
Michael Orr.
I'd rather have him come out of retirement and play that tackle than Dan Moore. Dan Moore was rated one of the worst tackles in football last year, whether he was left tackle or not. You know, now here's what I'll say about it. I want to see what Dan Moore does with real coaching.
I know. That'll be interesting.
He's going from youth league coaching to NFL coaching.
Yeah, that will be interesting because, fellas,
I'll blast him next. Pat Myers is trash. Hey, Pat, you're trash.
Hold on, Doxson. Is he still in San Diego, or he's still in L.A.
Rams,
not the Chargers. The Rams. Okay, because even if he goes, he is in more goes and lives up to what he is and what they think he can be. That's man. And the Steelers had him, let him walk, and we don't know that Jones is bona fide at that left tackle yet. We don't know. So you figured, fellas, your center and guard who made the all-rookie team are young, and only 2 years into it, right? Then you got Fanatu, however you pronounce his name, going to be a rookie because he didn't play at all last year. And now you got Jones, basically a rookie, switching spots, whatever. Hopefully he can grasp it. 4 of your 5 linemen are young.
That's all right.
You know what I mean? So how do you mean that's all right?
That means that you got to get a quarterback that can adjust to young players.
You need a quarterback that has legs and can get the hell up out of there when they miss block these teams.
Mikey, whatever you got to do, you got to do. But you can't keep doing the same shit that you're doing. It's the complete definition of insanity. Do the same thing over and over again, thinks it's going to change. It's not going to change. We're going to watch the same thing happen next year with the Pittsburgh Steelers, except next year, fellas, I'll put my name behind this. If they don't make some significant changes after June 1, they'll be a 6-11 team next year.
Here's my thing: is you said doing the same thing over, seeing whether it was Dobbs, whether whomever it was. There's 8-9 quarterbacks on that list that Tom has been in, Tomlin and younger. He's drafted whatever round he's taken, and none of them left the Steelers organization better than when they got there. So if he's never been able to develop a QB, Milroe, who has legs, but he needs a lot of help to me. Even when you watched him play with Bama, I wasn't a big Tua guy, but at least Tua was dominant when he played for Alabama. Milroe, to me, is not even dominant at that position. Why do we want Milroe?
This is why I got into it with a guy, and then I had to stop on Facebook.
Let's back up to Tua. Was Tua dominant, or did he have studs? You You always people can get lost in that Alabama thing, brother.
No. Don't forget, fellows. I've always said it. Other than Kenny Stabler, there has not really been an Alabama quarterback that stood out because their receivers are always so much better than everybody else, right? Just like I said that for Caleb Williams with USC. So
I said Joe Namath.
Yeah, okay, so but even you when you think about it, your boy Milroe, even great receivers that he had and the talent that he had and recruits around him, he still wasn't dominant. He didn't even look good. You still did not want the ball in Milroe's hand if it came down to the last drive.
I think he sees the Jalen Hurt, Justin Fields thing in Milroe. I don't want Milroe chops, just for the record, but
please,
I don't want the team.
If I'm just putting this on wax, if that comes out that Tomlin says we like Milroe because we see some Jalen Hurts or Justin Fields in him, then he needs to be fired because you had Fields in the building and you didn't know how to properly use him. Let me ask you this real quick. Coming out of college, who do you think was a better prospect, Fields or Milroe?
Fields.
Okay.
Also, stud receivers.
Okay. Right now, when they start lineup first week next year, who would you think is a better quarterback, flat out, Milroe or Fields? Fields. Okay. So everything that Milroe can do, Fields can do better. So if they're looking at Milroe, why look at Milroe when you had a better version already in the building? I don't get that. That would make that, and I hate when people say, "Look
Fields
at the."
Wasn't staying, bro. He wasn't staying
because they didn't offer him enough. They didn't make him feel like he was worth it. So why go after a carbon copy, a less carbon copy of what you had if you weren't going to properly utilize the better version? Number one, and number two, real quick, fellas, they're always saying another talking that, well, look what Tomlin's done with lesser talent. Stop saying that. And if I could talk to any guys on ESPN and anybody who ever says that, when Tomlin brings in who he wants, you then don't get to complain about lesser talent when you're bringing it in. You're not, you know what I'm saying? You let Fields walk for a lesser version of him in Milroe if that's who you take. Come on, man. I love Tomlin, but there comes a time, man. Our wives love us, but we got shortcomings, and they would damn sure let us know where our shortcomings are. If so y'all love Tomlin,
up, though, Tops. Look, we got 5 o'clock. We've been rolling hard. This has been a hell of a debate here. I feel like we're Stephen A. and some other clowns, but let's be serious here. If you had a choice of one quarterback, just one quarterback without explanation,
Tyler.
Who are you taking?
Louisville. Tyler
Shuck?
6'5", 245. Yeah.
Okay. Who are you taking, Chops?
You talking about in the quarter in from the draft?
Yeah.
Tyler.
Fellas, there's no one I would say I'll go with Cam.
Have you seen Tyler?
And I don't even like Ward.
That's why I sent those clips, Shane.
Chops, have you seen Tyler? Have you seen him?
No, not a lot of them.
You may want to check him out. Seasoned. He's Kenny Pickett years, but Tyler, man, he can make all the throws, the deeps, the outs, the ends, the shorts, the reach.
And who's he playing for now?
He played for Louisville. He had the size, and Brom was his coach, and Brom is a hell of a quarterback coach.
Yep. All right.
If he ain't ready now, Tomlin's not going to develop him.
Last one. If you had to pick right now one running back, who would you take in the draft?
Oh, shit.
Well, so since I'm going to be picking them probably third round, I'm looking at Gideon. JJ, is it JJ?
Yeah.
Because that's third. I wanted to read a mock draft real quick. First round was Luther Burden. Second round, we traded Pickens to the Patriots, got a third and a fifth. So that means they picked Milroe at 69, which I don't like. And they picked, DJ Gittins, Kansas State. The fourth round was Pegues, D-tackle. King, linebacker, Penn State. 6, edge, Georgia. 7, tight end, Rondé Gatson. They bring in his son in. Remember, Gatson played for us a long time ago.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Either one, I'm going Henderson or Judkins, Ohio State. I like those cats. I don't know if they'd be able to. I like those cats.
I'm going Ollie Gordon, Oklahoma State. I like Ollie Gordon.
That's a fourth round, you think?
Yeah, that's a fourth round pick. Yep.
All right.
Yep. I don't think the league needs as many backs this year, but It's a prime group. It's a prime
or do you bring in Dobbins and don't get one?
See, my problem with that is Dobbins gets hurt a lot.
Does he?
Yeah.
I thought he only had the Achilles.
No, he sat out almost 2 full seasons. He sat out almost 2 full seasons. He sat out some this season.
And Barbara, you're right. You don't need this many backs, but other than Saquon and Henry, most teams are running back by committee. So if you can have more decent quality backs so you don't have such a drop off, you know what I mean? Smitty, I don't know if I'm sold on Dart, man. And he truly needs developing. I don't see
he does for an NFL game.
That.
He scares me. He scares me at the fact, he will be gone, Smitty. Somebody's going to take him early. I think you're right, Sheen. I could see New Orleans taking him.
But he'll be gone.
You know who I don't want to see in a Steeler uniform? And I'm not saying this for any reason other than the fact that I don't think he's a great player. Is Shador. I don't think he's a good player. I just don't. That's me. Again, these are my thoughts about this. Maybe you guys see him in a different light. But I personally, I'm like, I want to see that fucking dude playing for the Steelers. You know,
I think Shador with his dad though and Dion, he will be able to make sure he has the best quarterback coach on the side teaching him when he's not in whatever team's facility. He's going to make sure he gets those feet right, those reads right. I think Shador, I'm not high on him now either, but I think we will see a lot of progression from him because of his dad and the connections he has. He'll get.
That's a great point, Tommy. That's a great point.
Hey, gentlemen,
who the hell's Tommy? I don't know who I was talking about. Hey, fellas.
I gotta go prepare dinner, gentlemen.
Hey, it was a great show.
Sandwiches.
Good. You having sandwiches tonight?
No, that's why I said it. He hates them.
Hey, find Terrible Talk under the OSP, Original Sports Podcast with Mark Mariday. You can find us on every podcast platform. Terrible Talk will pop up as well as Original Sports Podcast. You can listen to or watch Original Sports Podcast, the full episodes. On Thursday, they drop. And if you want to watch us live, that's Tuesday nights. We're on Roku with National Streaming Sports. And this will stream on National Streaming Sports Sunday night at 6 p.m., 6 to 7. Thanks for joining us. As always, look forward to seeing everybody next Tuesday. Have a great weekend.
You see it. Holla at Chaboy.